Welcome to the Sisterhood Tea Party, where we get together weekly to discuss all the tea about life, relationships, pop culture, and generally anything you chat about with your best friend over a cup of tea or beverage of choice.
We're your hosts, Stephanie and Jessica, and we've been spilling the tea to each other for more than a decade, and now we're ready to invite the rest of you to the tea party.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just living life,
You are living. I am living. Life is good. This is great.
It is great.
I'm excited for today's episode. Today, we are covering and breaking down all things that are travel tips. So excited.
Yes, girl. We are so excited to get into what we've learned from our travel adventures so that you can take these travel ideas out of the group chat and into reality. But before we do, let's first talk about what's top of mind for both of us. Jess.
Okay. Top of mind for me is Vampire Diaries. I'm deep in a rewatch right now. I'm obsessed. Spoilers ahead. Well, maybe not too
That's
many
fine.
spoilers because you haven't seen it, or you're not
I
gonna
haven't
ever
seen
watch it.
I won't ever watch it. So spoiler alert.
Okay. If anybody's wondering, I am Team Damon, very heavily Team Damon. So just so you know, basically there's like a love triangle going on, and there's two brothers, and it's kind of like, oh, who's she gonna go with kind of situation. Very Team Damon. But what's fun about this rewatch is that my husband is watching it with me, and he is like not into fantasy paranormal kind of stuff. Like he was not on the Game of Thrones trend. He's not into like, Twilight, or he's just like not that vibe. He did like the Harry Potter movies, but like it's just not his thing. But he is obsessed. Like there were episodes where we got done and he's like, Vampire Diaries is so good. I'm having so much fun with it. I will say, as of right now, he is Team Stefan, though, which is the other brother, which is causing a bit of a rift right now. But it's a long journey. We are on season 4, like episode 3 right now. So
How many seasons?
I should know the answer to that.
Is
I
it
feel like
giving
7.
Okay, I was like, is it giving Grays where it's like season
No, no,
like
no, no.
35? Okay.
Oh my God, I cannot. No. I like can't even restart that because I'm like, I just like it's too much. Same with like Walking Dead. I'm checking right
Yeah,
now though.
I've actually never
8.
seen any of those fantasy. Like I'm not into fantasy either, so I get that.
Yeah,
But
but
8 seasons, that's not really that bad.
no, and it's so good. And so I'm just loving it. It's so fun. And now he's like, I want to be a vampire. And I'm like, yes, you do.
I feel like now we need to put out a poll of like which team are you on?
Oh
Because I'm sure that there
yeah.
are some other people who are probably watching too. So I think we'll put that
And
out.
this is controversial. Like even like my two sister-in-laws, they are Team Stefan. My sister's Team Damon. I'm Team Damon. There's also another character named Klaus, which a lot of people say, well, no, 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 neither. I'm Team Klaus. But like, we'll make a poll. We will make a poll. We need to know what the people think.
Yeah, and now I'm intrigued. I guess if people are watching, I'm like, I guess I should watch too. So
Absolutely, you should.
we'll see what
Um,
happens. I can't make any promises.
well, what's top of mind for you?
Well, you know what? I'm getting back into my golf girl era. So last year, I think I probably have told you, but last year I volunteered at the Byron Nelson golf tournament. And it's basically it's golf tournament, but there's like all of these famous players that are out, and it's just like it's a whole thing. And
Oh,
it's local to us. So it's like honestly, it's like 15 minutes away from me, like super easy. So I somehow randomly got into volunteering and I loved it. Last year I was working signature suites, they call them, and it's basically these suites where people pay a lot of money to go watch golf. And I was at the 17th hole, which was like a big deal from what I
oh.
understood. I'm still learning golf. But I'm going back into it again. This time I'm finding a husband. So
Oh, yes.
and because I've told all of my friends, my goal is to be outside. Okay. Like I've mentioned time and time before, the apps are gone. Being outside, meeting people in the wild is where it's at. So we're gonna see what happens at the tournament, but it's gonna be a great time. But
Okay,
yeah, it's
but
coming up here pretty
what's your
soon.
strategy here? Like, are you gonna go in and play like the will you teach me the rules? I just don't get it. Are you gonna go more with like, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
my research first?
No. So do you remember the trend that was like, the dating apps aren't working, so it's time to go look confused at Home Depot? That's the energy that I'm going into. The dating apps aren't working, so it's time to go look confused at the Byron Nelson tournament. So I'm going to be looking confused, like, oh my gosh, I don't understand. But at the same time, I'm not gonna let just any man up in my space.
No,
Like
no,
he's got to
no.
be quality. But I am working the suites again, so that's obviously going to be the vibe. So I'll have access to go in and like hang out and walk around. Girl, I know.
This is like
But
giving like that Barbie scene, when they like
yes.
are like, oh, I just don't understand how this computer works. Please help
Hmm.
me.
But in reality, I have a little bit of an idea of how things work there. So
Yeah.
I just have to play, I gotta just play games a little bit. But the goal is to walk away with a man. So
I am obsessed. I cannot wait to hear I hope that you post like some kind of update about this.
oh,
Like a wedding
yes.
invitation or something, like give
Right.
us something.
That'll be next. Maybe there'll be like a little soft launch situation on Close Friends. I mean, we'll just see what happens.
Yes. Maybe one day we'll invite him on the podcast. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, he definitely needs to come on. Like, tell a little story, babe. Like,
Oh my gosh.
oh
I
gosh.
love this. This might be my favorite top of mind that you've provided so far. So
Oh
thank you
yeah.
so much for that.
There will be a follow-up for sure in a few weeks.
Yay. Awesome. Well, let's get into the real tea then today, which is travel tips. This is like my favorite topic. I love
Yeah, I'm
travel.
excited. You do. I feel like you have way more experience travel-wise than I do. So I look at it this way. You have a lot of I feel like you have a lot of international experience. I have a lot of like domestic
Domestic.
experience. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I
Your
feel like
girl
you
will be going
travel
international.
a lot too. It's
I
just usually
do.
domestic.
Yes, it's usually domestic. I think I was looking at my like flight schedules from last year and the year before, kind of combining the two. I had 14 out of state like trips for work, and that's just work alone.
Yeah.
So I have definitely learned some tips and tricks along the way, especially with work travel, but just travel in general though too. So
And I think it's important to at least I always think this is important because like travel can be intimidating to people, but like you and I didn't start traveling until we were like working in our careers, really, right? Like at
it's
least
yeah.
for me, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely for me too. And honestly, my first actual corporate job is when I started traveling. And it was a new world to me. I was like, I have no idea what to do. I was
Mm-mm.
just throwing stuff into a bag and hope
Yeah.
it worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It's
I've
not like
definitely learned, yeah,
some people like grow up and their families take like vacations to Europe, like that was
yes.
not the vibe for us. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't.
no.
It wasn't. Our trips were all road trips. So like I learned
Yeah.
how to pack things for road trips, but I never learned how to pack things for flights. So that was something I definitely had to learn and Googled and YouTubed and all those things to learn like along the years. So
Well, let's get into some of the hacks. Let's start with like planning hacks,
yeah,
prep
I think
work.
yes, absolutely. I think the biggest thing with planning is the budget itself for the trip and also figuring out like where do you actually want to go? Like I think that's like the first step is figuring out, okay, if you're going to take a trip, right? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to like what do you want to see? What do you want to do? And then work from there. So once you figured out your destination, then you figure out, okay, what's the budget like? What's that going to look like? Break down your spending, break down, meals, different expenses, the travel itself, lodging,
Ubers.
all of that. Yes, tours, anything. Because again, if you're going to stay, how long are you going to stay? You're going to stay 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. What is that going to look like? Once you've broken down kind of your spend categories, then figure out your savings goal and then start saving. So if
Hmm.
do some, you got to make sure the math is mathing, right? You're going to spend like $3,000 on a trip or something, and you want to be able to save like $30 a day or $30 a week, whatever that looks like, whatever your end goal is, figure that out and then stick to it so that you
Hmm.
actually can make that trip happen.
Yeah. And there's like things that you can do to budget, like to
Mhm.
help with budgeting too, like ahead of time. Like I think it's every I should know this. I will double check and we can drop it in the notes. But I think it's like every 21 days closer to a trip, the prices for flights tend to change, like roughly
Oh,
21 days. And so, like, the closer you get, the likely the price is going to go up. So, you want to book at least 21 days out if you're trying to go for like a budget deal on flights and things like that. So, that's like some
yeah.
things to consider. Um, Also, like, points can help you too. Like, I am a Southwest girly, so like I only book Southwest. And sometimes people will say, "Oh, Southwest is like a little bit more expensive than something like Delta or United." But when you add the luggage fees on top of it, there's no luggage fees with Southwest. You don't have to
Yeah.
check. You can check a bag if you want. You can bring a carry-on. You don't have to deal with all that crap. And so that plus the points for me ends up being worth it. Like for
I think
a
it's,
little bit
I think it's,
more.
yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. I don't know what they're looking at and how they think that Southwest is more expensive than Delta, because I've always found that Delta and American are like way more expensive. And then you add the luggage fees with all of that too. Um, and so I agree with you, adding loyalty and building loyalty to a specific airline. If you favor one, I think building up, because again, you'll get all of those perks and it'll be
Mhm.
way worth it to travel.
100%. And also, like, you can look into like credit card points too. Like, you could either get a credit card with a company, or if you have really good credit, you can just get one that can go to like any kind of travel points. But your girl
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
quite
true.
qualify for that. Got those student loans, hold me down, but I do
I
have the
feel that.
Southwest card.
Hey, we love that. You got it, you're
Yeah.
racking up the points, you're doing your thing. It's so interesting too, thinking about like the spending aspect of it, because I was reading an article and I think it said about, I think it's 72 or 73% of millennials would rather spend their money on experiences and travel than actual material things. So like again, millennials, we are out here. We are trying to do the thing. We are trying to do
Yes.
all the things and get out there. So the budget is the number one thing, is making sure that like you can make that happen.
I would much rather spend my money on a trip to Europe than go buy a house. Sorry. I
100%.
like I just would. Like, I just don't want to
Yeah.
pay a down payment for the house. I just want to
No,
go somewhere.
honestly, no. And honestly, I kind of like the free maintenance that I have. I don't have to mow my
Yeah,
lawn. I don't have to wash the windows. I don't
so
have to do
real.
any of that. Like right now I'm just chilling. Okay. And so I will
Literally.
use that money and go travel, and whether it's domestic or international one day for me, like I want to go.
So another hack, if you're trying to travel international, particularly like if you're going to Europe, Google Flights has an explore option. Like, especially if you're like flexible with your time and stuff like that. So the thing about going to Europe to keep in mind is that once you get to Europe, flights are so cheap to country hop. Like, so cheap. Like, you can find some flights for like 30 bucks. Like, very, very cheap. So what your goal is just like if you're trying to do like a Europe trip to go to multiple places, but look, use this Google Flights Explorer. And what it does is it just does it's like over the map of Europe. And you just kind of move it around and you see the cheapest flights. Pick the cheapest. Just get to Europe the cheapest. Then you can figure out what you want to do once you're there. So, like, usually for me, flying out of Denver, London is usually the cheapest. So, like, when I went to that's not true. Paris ended up being the cheapest. So we went to Paris first. And then when we flew back through London because it was cheapest to get back through London. And so it's
Oh,
just something to consider when you're planning. If you have that flexibility and you're like, I don't know, I just want to go somewhere in Europe, let that pick for you.
yeah, that's actually really helpful to know, because that is like one of my top places I want to visit is London specifically, because I do have family there. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel, and I cannot tell you how many times that they'll be talking to us and like, oh yeah, we just hopped to Paris for the weekend. Like
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, you just hopped to Paris for the weekend?
Yeah. It's so cheap. And it's
I
not,
can't even do that state
obviously,
to state.
literally. I'm like, why is it more expensive for me to fly from Denver to freaking Wichita than for someone to fly from like London to Paris? I'm like, this is
Right.
disgusting.
Like it
So
doesn't, in
angry.
my mind, I cannot like actually make that make sense.
It doesn't. Well, I could go on a whole rant about US airline companies. Also, a good thing to know about European airlines is you don't have the same issue with massive delays like you have in the US, because there is a ton of regulation in Europe that forces them to pay you basically. Like, you get vouchers if the delay is beyond a certain amount. So you'll still have some slight delays, but if it's beyond a certain amount, they are forced to give you a voucher by law.
Speaking of that, did you see what just came out about? yes, about airlines now having to basically give automatic cash refunds if your flight's delayed, canceled for any reason. I mean, it's a whole
In the
list because
US.
in the US.
Oh,
It hasn't
good.
been, it hasn't rolled out yet, but that is coming. So I'll share it with you. It literally, the
Yes.
article came out today. So I was like, wait a minute, let me
That's
hop on a
amazing
plane.
because it's
Yeah,
ridiculous what US
it is. It
airline
shouldn't,
companies can do.
yeah, I don't know why it took them this long to like do that. And you should obviously get a refund if it gets canceled or delayed, because it's like delayed over 3 hours or more. And it's like, yeah, give me my
Yep.
money back at this point. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Um,
Hmm.
Another thing to be aware of when you're booking flights, if you're booking flights for multiple people, is there's something called tiered pricing that airline companies do, where what they do is they say like, oh, let's say I have like 100 seats on this plane. I'm gonna like as less and less seats are available, the pricing is gonna go up. So like the first maybe 30 seats they're gonna sell are gonna be at this price. The next 30 will be a little more expensive, and the next 30, which is why it gets more expensive closer to because there's less seats available. So if you are booking for two people and you see the price and you're like, that's kind of high, try to search it for just one person and see if you get a cheaper ticket because you might be right on that cusp of the tier where sure if you just bought one you would land in this tier, but because you're buying two we're just going to bump you both into this second tier and leave that one alone. So this is like it doesn't happen all the time. Obviously you have to be like on that cusp. They don't tell you if you're on the cusp, so it's just something to think about if you're trying to book for more than one person too.
Okay, that's interesting. So wait, let me make sure I understand this. So are you
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
like book two individual tickets, or you're still booking as the
You
group, if
would
that makes
book
sense?
two individual, but
Okay.
what you would do is like test it, right? So like when you search for what is the cost going to be for two, then search what is the cost for one. And if the one is cheaper than like the two tickets combined, then you are falling in that tier. So go ahead and just buy the one and then buy the other one second. And the second one will still be the higher price, but the first one you'll be in that first tier of the lower. Because if you're buying together, they just
Oh,
group them in the next tier.
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
is
learned
awesome.
that from the points guy. I can't take credit from that. The points guy, they do like news articles and I was like, "Whoa, this is great." Like, yeah, I didn't know about that until then. So, I've never
Yeah.
gotten in that situation yet, but it's like a thing, so something to consider.
Yeah, that's really helpful to know.
Yeah. Okay, I have one other on the planning side for like planning adventures, and I don't know if you use this at all, but
Okay.
I'm obsessed with Viator.
I don't even
So,
know what that
Viator,
is.
so it's an app and a website. And what you do is you go there and you're like, hey, I'm going to New Orleans. And so, like, what tours, what kind of things can I do in New Orleans? And what they do is they connect you with local guides there who do the tours. So it's like a platform to connect you with different things. So, like in New Orleans, I took a food tour with a local person who lives there who could tell me all the spots. So, like I also like learned a bunch of places I should go from her, you know. When I went to Mexico City, we did a hot air balloon ride over the Teotihuacan pyramids that we booked through Viator. Like it was every single tour I've taken through them is absolutely incredible.
That's amazing. And honestly, less stressful for you to do. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and they do everything from like every city obviously differs, but like the big tours, like when Rome, you could do like the Colosseum tour, skip the line through there, or you can do like these like a food tour in New Orleans. Like to me that was like very like you could go to the big corporate ones or like you can find a local guide to do it for you. It's just like it was so personable, and I really really love that because when you travel it's like fun to get to know the people who live wherever you're going.
absolutely. It's like the best way to kind of explore where you're at.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
Viator is it. Use Viator.
Love it. So now that we have these planning hacks and things, you're getting prepped, you're getting ready. Now it's like, all right, now it's time to actually go. Now it's time to pack.
Hmm.
So with that, I feel like I excel in this area.
Yes.
And Olivia will say that too, because here's the thing. Let me just give some context. When she comes to my apartment, this girl just has stuff in her luggage. Not to air out. I'm sorry, Olivia.
I
But
remember
like
when you guys came to visit me, there was just stuff everywhere.
stuff. And like, I'm like, oh, how do you find anything? She's like, I don't know. Everything's just there. And I'm like, it is. And everything, she still has it packed up and it works. But like for me, I'm very much like, as I've gone through the years, and I think this comes from all of my work travel that I've done and figuring out, okay, how am I able to just take certain things and like make it fit? The biggest
Yeah.
thing that like my favorite purchase for traveling were packing cubes and being
Yes.
able to like, and they come and you can find them on like Amazon, whatever
Yeah.
color, size, shape, whatever you need. They are a true game changer for me. I just put clothing in there, fold them up, and I mean the space saving is just incredible. So I highly, highly recommend packing cubes, specifically if you are trying to maybe take like a carry-on, or
Hmm.
if you do, or if you are taking larger luggage and you just need more space to try and pack as much as you can, though that will go a long way, honestly.
I love packing cubes. Like I've gone through packing cubes and then had to get more multiple times. Like I cannot travel without my packing cubes. I completely
Same.
agree.
Let me ask you this. So when you are using said packing cubes, are you rolling your clothing or are you folding your clothing?
I fold and then I roll on the trip home, especially if it's like a big trip and I buy a lot of souvenirs.
I
But I
like
don't
that.
roll on the way. What do you
Yeah,
do?
I agree with that. So I've actually done both, again, along the way, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And I've found that folding it in a specific way, there's a girl that I like found on TikTok, forgot her username, but like I watched her pack this backpack with like packing cubes. And it was just, and she was packing for a 10-day trip in a backpack. And I'm like, what? But I watched her fold the clothes specifically in this packing cube in a way that it made sense. And I'm like, let me try that. And it worked. On one of the
Ooh,
workshops I took, it was so good. On one of the workshops I took only a carry-on and a backpack that I had, and I was solid. I had enough room and everything. So, I mean, whatever works for you honestly makes the most sense. But yeah, I think rolling, especially on the way home, if you are trying to bring back more, I think helps because you can obviously
yeah.
condense things a little bit more.
Okay, if you can find that TikTok or the username, you can drop it in the show notes because I will say I'm not great at like I just fold them normal and I'm like there's got to be a
Yeah.
better way to fold these. So I would love to
There
see that.
what I was kind of watching from her is that she is folding according to space in like whatever cube that she's using. So if she sees that there's like a
Mm.
little bit higher like space here, she's like adding a bulkier item here to even out what
Oh
she's already
yeah.
folded. Yeah. So she's like making things even, but also like maximizing the space given within that cube. I'm like, how do you, it's a science. I love it. I'm like,
Okay, but
I'm blown away. Yeah.
question also on like the carry-on versus checking a bag.
Yes.
Do you prefer to not have to check a bag? And if so, how do you handle liquids? Because I like to check a bag just because of my liquid situation. It's just like a pain for me to figure out the liquids for like a trip for work.
Yeah. I mean, when you say liquids, are you talking like your skincare liquids? Are you like, are you taking like full size of things? Like, is
Yep.
that what you're, okay.
Skincare, hair
Yeah.
products. Yeah.
So it's difficult, right? So it depends. For me, most of the time I'm traveling for work, I'll just, splurge and check the bag. It's fine. And
Yeah,
I'll just
exactly. Same.
I mean, so like I'm doing that, but I would say if you are taking maybe like maybe a personal trip, or if you know that you're not going to be gone for very long, if you're
Yeah.
able to like find carry-ons that are like, I don't know, again on TikTok, they have these backpacks that are actually suitcases, and it like
Hmm.
opens up into these like crazy compartments that like you can fit things in and everything. I think that works out. And then again, you'll have to just like get the little mini like
Yeah.
containers to put your liquids in, but I mean, I still, at the end of the day, I still prefer to check a bag because I'm bougie
Yeah.
and I want to
Same.
make sure I have everything. And
And if
if
you
I, even
fly
if I,
Southwest, it's free to check a bag.
it is. And so, and then again, same thing with like some of the other places that have loyalty. I think of American. Right now, I'm starting to build up my status with American that like
Hmm.
now my first bag is free. And then if I want a second, then I can like, I pay for it. But like,
Who
I'm
travels
getting
with two
there.
bags?
That's, I mean, the only way I can see that is maybe if it's like a big international trip. So I think about like
Yes,
when my mom went, when she went overseas and she was gone for like weeks, she
that's
did
true.
travel with two full bags. That made more sense versus if you're only going to be gone for like a week, you do not need two bags.
No,
Like,
no.
you don't
And that
need two
is fair
bags.
because American is sister companies with British Airlines, isn't it? So
It
you
is.
can fly international with their
And
points.
that's where she went. So it was easier for her to just have the two and everything.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense. I
yes.
love that. Um my struggle is always the aerosols. too, like my dry
Yeah.
shampoo and like hairspray, and I'm like,
And that's the
ugh,
thing. You have a lot of like, you have the hair products. I don't really, especially because my hair changes and it's like this right now. I don't have any hair products that I would pack. So I just,
yeah.
pack my little bonnet and go.
Love it. Love it.
But on days where I actually have my natural hair out, then and if I know that I either want to wash my hair or like style it, then yes, I'll pack some products. And at
Yeah.
that point, like I know what I'll need and I'll either, like portion it out in smaller containers, or if I'm just gonna check a bag, I'll just throw it all in there and call it a day.
Yeah. That makes sense for sure. Any other packing hacks?
No, other than like I said, like with Amazon, they have tons of different options for carry-on and personal items. If that's the route that you want to go, I think that like that's a really great place to start. But if you're like not into the whole online situation, I would go pop into like a Marshalls or a TJ
Yeah.
Maxx, Target, like any of those places that have
Costco.
Costco, Sam's, if you're one of those. Because I had a Sam's membership, but anyway, that's besides
I
the
didn't
point.
have either. I actually
Right.
borrowed my friend Jasmine's membership to buy
Hmm.
my, because she told me the suitcases were on sale so I could buy suitcases. This is a long time ago from
Yeah.
Costco.
Yeah. There are tons of like places that you can go get all of these things. And if you want to go real, real bougie, I mean, there are obviously name brands for those, but I don't know those brands because, I don't need those right now. So
Yeah, it's gonna get ruined when it gets tossed around
it
anyways.
is. I know. That's the sad thing about it. I know people have those plastic things that they cover their luggage, but I think those look tacky.
Yeah.
Like so
No.
tacky. I did discover though that I use a like one of those magic erasers on the suitcase, and that does
Hmm.
help, especially if you have one of
Oh,
those hard plastic ones, and you just take a
mm,
little magic eraser and it helps. But if you
nice.
if you don't really care, then I mean, it's fine. But
I've also seen some people, so if you like fly like Frontier, which I never will fly, ever
spirit,
again.
spirit.
Where like you cannot take even like a, you can only bring a personal item and like all this stuff. So
Can't
I've
even
seen
bring a
some people,
backpack half the time.
no. So people have taken neck pillows and taken the pillow out and then shoved their clothes in it and then put it around like a neck pillow. High IQ play if
That's
you have to fly those
wild.
places.
Nope,
Yeah.
I'm good. I would rather just spend the money at that point. I'm like, I don't want to even mess with that, but I get it. They're like, well, the flight is cheap. Cool, but there's also going to be some drama on there, and to me, it's not worth
you're,
it.
and you're
Every
not even
other
going to
video
get
that I
water.
see, no, you're not going to get water. And every other video that I see online about fights, Spirit, Frontier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What about hacks then while traveling?
Well, honestly, I don't have like a whole lot of hacks for this. The only one that I really like to suggest is utilizing airline apps for easy access for flight info, updates, all of those things. Also, if they allow you to like subscribe to text messages, that also works too. I just think that's just an easier way for you to make sure you're up to date on everything that's going on with your flight. If you are really into like I don't know, the nerd side of it, I guess. There's an app that's called, I think it's called Flight 24 or something. I don't know how I found out about this, but it's basically a flight tracker and it allows you to like look at every single plane that's in the sky at the current moment. And if you are really wanting to just kind of like see where when a flight lands exactly and see the actual plan and see where they're
Oh,
flying through. I did that. I was tracking my mom's flight that way. I downloaded this app and I was like, all right, tap, she's getting into London Heathrow at this time and they're, over the ocean right now. And I'm like, oh God. But I don't if you like that sort of
I wonder
thing.
if that's
But
how people found out where Taylor Swift's jet was, if they used that.
see, I that might be it. I don't know if they put like private jets on there, but they might, honestly. I mean, every plane that I even like some commercial like I've seen them all, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But how would they even know what the
I
name of
mean, if
her
they know
flight
what
like?
her flight is, then I could see it.
Yeah, I guess. So, but that's probably how they found out, honestly, now that I think about it.
Um, Also, that reminded me of something I wasn't going to bring up, but I kind of forgot. I learned this on TikTok as well. So if you have an iPhone, you can text your flight name number, like so it'll be like
That's
SWA
right.
number, and then you click on the link that it sends, and then it'll show you your baggage claim, which I will say is not always correct on the baggage claim, but the
Right.
baggage claim, it'll say like location. So like if you tell someone like, hey, I'm taking this flight, you can send it to them and then they can track it, which is really handy.
It really is, especially if you may not have like access right away and you're like maybe
Yeah.
your friends are checking in or family. It's a great way for them to just click and it like pops up. I forgot about that. That's really, really helpful.
I just used it on my last flight. It was nice. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so I have some while traveling hacks. Specifically on the plane hacks. Okay. So a long time ago, one of my friends told me like you should just do a face mask when you're traveling. Never went back. Never went back. Like especially if I'm on a
Ooh,
long flight and I'm not in business. I'm in coach and I'm sitting there with my face mask in coach squished up next to people. And it is I don't care if I look weird. Okay. It feels so good because your skin is already drying out when you're in the air. You're sitting
mhm.
there for hours. Why not hydrate your face? Why not?
That is so smart. I'm now I have a ton of like face masks here. I'm going to
Yeah.
do that now on.
And
Mhm.
like when I'm at home, I try not to use the paper masks. I like have like my thing. But when I'm flying, I'm like, yeah, I'll
Yes.
bring a paper mask and I'll do it. And it's, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Also, like if you are going on a long flight, because like a lot of people are like, oh gosh, international flights are so long. For the record, my longest flight was 21 hours. There was a stop, but it was 21 hours. I will say for that flight, I got to do business class, so I was so bougie and it was really nice. But
Oh,
I
that's so
have done
nice.
like I have done like the 10 to 12-hour flights in coach, and it's hard. So my advice is like make it a vibe. Bring your skincare. Um, bring like melatonin so you can like sleep on the plane.
Mhm.
Bring like a hand cream, like obviously be mindful on the scents around you, but I think a light lavender hand cream is acceptable. And so I do it.
Yes. I like
Uh,
that.
bring stuff to put over your eyes. So when you sleep, make sure whatever headphones you have are going to be comfortable. Also, if you want to be really bougie, they have this thing that you can hang, and we can drop it in the show notes. You hang it over the tray, and it elevates your feet. So your feet, it's like a
Yes.
foot hammock, and it helps you. I did this when I flew to Paris, and it was amazing. Even though I'm a tall girly, I feel like it's probably even better for people who are not as tall as me, but like it helps you sleep, but you don't get the restless leg near as bad on the flight. It's amazing. Game changer.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, definitely drop the link because I'm
Yes.
very curious on like that'll be really nice for long flights for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like so like it's like you're going to be stuck there.
Mhm.
It's not going to be great. So just make it a vibe. Act like it's going to be like a wellness journey, a wellness flight, if you
Yes.
will. And it makes it go by a lot easier, a lot faster in my opinion.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Yes, that is these are such great tips. Like I'm so happy. I'm like, okay, yes, taking all of these notes because I'm about to go on a trip here soon. And I'm like, even though it's only to Chicago, but like I'm
Yeah.
like still keeping note. I'm like, I'm gonna do a face mask because it's an early flight. So I'm like, definitely.
Perfect time.
And I'm going straight to work. So it's like, all right, I need to like mentally prepare. So it's like do the mask and like relax a little bit before I start
Oh,
the workday there.
yeah, you're going to feel so refreshed when you get there. I
Oh
can't wait to hear how it goes.
yes. I will keep you posted.
Amazing. Well, I feel like we shared quite a bit of tips today. Hopefully, they were
We did.
helpful.
Now we will move into our podcast game. So, as you all know, we have done in the past, we've done What's the Ick, where Jess and I will share what is basically the ick for us at the current moment. But we decided to source and we have some community icks. So, shout out to those of you that submitted some icks because we are going to be reading them right now. So, I'm going to share the first one. So an ick that we have is when people park in the spots for curbside pickup to then go in and shop. Like, why do you think you're better than everybody else?
Oh, I hope that's what the person said too. Why do you think you're
That's
better than everybody else?
I'm reading it like I copied and pasted it and it said, why do you think you're better than everyone else? Because why would you do that? I'm like,
Mm-mm.
so there's so much parking.
Like the
Target has a
absolute
lot of
entitlement.
parking.
The entitlement. You're telling me that's not a boomer? I'm just saying.
I bet it is. I bet it is. Okay. Uh,
I'm just saying.
speaking of, and we're continuing like the car parking situation.
Hmm.
So Another ick, people backing into parking spots if they are blocking the flow of traffic. So
Mm-mm.
you, again, same thing with either a parking lot or anything like that, where you're driving, trying to find a spot and someone just whips around and just like hangs out and just slowly backs into their spot. I've
Mm-mm.
seen this done on busy streets where people back into like the that street parking. I'm like, what
Mm-mm.
are you doing?
Mm-mm.
Like, no,
I just
just no.
like, yeah, like we don't have time for this. Like in general, I would say I'm just going to add on to this. Like, anytime that somebody is driving, like they have the all the time in the world. Like it's just like,
Right.
are you the only one on the road? Like the other person said, do you think you're better than everyone? You're not. Move.
You're not. Like, move with a sense of urgency, okay? You don't have to be
Literally,
rushing around, but like, move with intention, move with
yes.
urgency, okay? Like, be for
Knees to
real.
chest. Sorry, but damn.
No, let's keep it pushing, okay? Jeez. Moving on. So we have another ick that is people that go below the speed limit in the left lane.
Like
Be serious right now.
the same
The
vibe.
same
Like
thing. And then
every
when you
single
go
time.
around them, oh,
Oh, I
they
glare
look at
every
you.
time.
Oh, and they look at you like you did something wrong.
I
Like
mean, at
you
least
did
they
something
look
wrong,
at you. It's worse when they're
as they
like
should.
in La La
Right.
Land. Like they like, oh, look
No.
at this bird flying by. Like, what are you
What
doing?
are you doing? Get out of the lane. Especially so here in Dallas, we have NASCAR, aka the Dallas North Tollway, and people are speeding. We're speeding. We're going, and it's narrow. So if somebody's sitting in that left lane,
Oh,
the speed limit,
sickening.
okay, to be fair, the speed limit is 65. The left lane speed limit is truly like 85. Get out of it because
Get
everybody's
out of it.
pushing 85, okay? Pushing
Isn't
85. We just
isn't there somewhere in the area where the speed limit's 90? Or maybe it's
not in
85.
Dallas.
Maybe it is 85.
Uh so
There's definitely a
Austin,
road there. Yeah.
Austin has so their tollway, one of their I think their speed limit is 80.
Yeah. Maybe that's what
I
it
think it's
is that
80
I'm
or
thinking of.
85. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Dallas does not have it. They absolutely not. Dallas already has terrible drivers, and that would just increase accidents like
Oh,
10,000.
don't get me started about Denver. I swear to God. My
Oh,
theory on Denver is like everybody grew up in the Midwest and was like, I want to get out of this small town and I'm going to move to Denver, but none of them learned how to drive in a big city, and so
yeah.
therefore it's just oh, it's exhausting. And again, like people
It's
have all the time in the road world chilling in the left lane, and I'm like, isn't this like a fundamental thing that everybody complains about too? Like, how do you not know
it,
this?
I know. And I'm like, why in the year of Barbie, Taylor, and Beyonce that we're still dealing with traffic like this?
Honestly, give me all the automated cars and they can deal with it. I cannot.
So silly. It's so much. All right. So again, we're still on the theme. So you can see there's a recurring theme here.
I'm loving
Uh
the community Icks. These are great.
so another submitted one was people that see merge signs. So again, it says merge now. They don't merge, and then they try to hit you when they get over and they
Oh,
cut off 50 people behind.
it's like you see the merge sign coming. Oh,
Oh,
what's happening?
what
Did it just snow?
what was that?
How did that happen?
I have no idea. But yeah, the merge thing is so annoying to me because that has happened to me and it says merged. And then people just don't do what I consider the zipper method, where it's like just let everybody in because that goes quicker than trying to cut a bunch of people off and then you
Mm,
cause drama, accidents, whatever. It's just like when it tells you to merge,
yes.
start merging, you know?
Like you know it's coming. What are you
You
waiting
know it's
for?
coming. That's what makes me mad. And then again, the ones that get mad at you because you're driving by and it's like, no, you saw it. We all saw it.
We all saw it. We're all on the same road. And if you
You
didn't see it,
can't,
what were you doing? You weren't plugged
right.
in.
You can't act brand new on the road. Okay. It's dangerous.
This is my
Jeez.
favorite topic. I'm obsessed. Like I'm so fired up and angry right
Same.
now. I'm road
I
rage.
mean, this is rage right here. And the last submitted one, which actually kind of gets away from all of our car parking, driving
We need a
situation.
break.
We need a little break. So the ick is are couples who sit on the same side at a booth
Oh.
or a table.
Mm-mm,
I don't, mm-mm.
mm-mm.
Because why?
Have you ever been on
Why?
a date and a guy tried to do that? Because
Yeah,
I
and I'm
think
like,
I
can
would
you
end the date immediately.
no, I've definitely like, oh, you can sit on the other side. Oh no,
That's
no, no. Why do you want to sit by me? You don't
it's
know me. Like I could rob you right here. Like you're not sitting next to me. Sit across from me so I can see you.
I'm
Like,
married and I don't want to sit next to him while we're eating. Like, what is that? What
no,
are we gonna like turn sideways in the booth? And I got a kink in my neck by the end of the dinner? Like,
no, it's
absolutely
not
not.
fun.
No.
No, I want to enjoy it and like have a little bit of my own space. Like I'm already sharing space
Yeah,
with you by going on the date with you. Like sit on the other side.
it's so weird. It's
Mhm.
uncomfortable. Also, like, who gave people the idea that was a good idea? Like, I want to say who gave men this idea, but I'm sure there's women who also want this. But like,
Yeah, I don't know. And
who?
honestly, is there any justification for this? Like, is there any situation where it'd be okay to sit on the same side in any given.
If there's a view, so I will say like, and there are some places like in Europe, like where you have like the outside tables where it's like more
Mhm.
of a view. So it's like kind of at an angle. That's different though.
That's different, yes.
But like inside a restaurant, absolutely not.
No, what view do you have of another table? No.
Yeah, like what are you guys gonna make out at the table? Like, are what's
What are you,
happening?
12? Like,
Yeah, like what?
come
This is
on.
so ick.
That isn't it
Okay,
for sure.
I have to add an ick to this because it's something you and I just talked about actually.
Okay.
Because this felt like it was right up there with like men who tell women to smile.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, I don't even know why I didn't add this. Okay. I literally sent you in my group chat a long-winded voice note about this happening to me. Okay. So I hate it. I hate it
Not
so
until just
much.
now. I was like, we have to talk.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
Who told you it was okay? First of all, your job is this. You do not tell me to smile. Okay. I smile because I want to. Okay. Okay. Even though resting bitch face, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But you don't need to know that. It's none of your business. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Like, there is no situation that gives you the right to tell anyone, women specifically, that they need to smile,
A thousand
period.
percent.
And
A
if you
thousand
do that
percent.
to me again, just know there will be a consequence.
Mm-hmm. A
I
hundred
may tell
percent.
you, yeah, because
I
no.
would bark.
And I
I
feel
bark.
like, yeah, and I cussed him out instead. I cussed this person out. I was like, you know what? No, you don't get to talk to me. And then I went and vented to his manager because I was like, that is not his job. That is not his job to tell me that. His job is
Was
to
she
take my
like, okay,
back.
I'll take care of him? Or
Oh
what'd
yeah,
she say?
she was like, honey, like she was older. She was like, I'm so sorry, blah blah blah. She like, come back. Like we like would love to help sir. I'm like, no, I'm not coming back to this place again. Like there was a reason why I stopped coming, and it was because of him. And I forgot about it. And I was like, I was quickly reminded why I stopped going there. And I feel
Oh.
like you remember, okay, I'm taking this way back. So
Mm-hmm.
back in I went to grade school where we would have picture day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like they were like, okay, smile, but like the photographers were mostly male and it was like smile. And
Mm.
if you even if I like did like a half smile that I considered a smile, they're like, no, smile with your teeth. And I feel like again, I'm this kid and I'm like, okay, and I'm smiling. And
Yeah.
it was always weird. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's where they got it from. And it just continued. I'm like,
Oh
if
my
I want to
God.
smile, if I want to smize, let me smize. If I want to smile with teeth, let me do that too.
Yeah.
And if I
Maybe if you
want
gave me
to
something
look
to
at
smile
you,
about, I would, but you're giving me the ick.
right. But honestly, I sit with a resting bitch face, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
Have
with
you
it.
heard the song Nightmare by Halsey?
Yes.
She talks about that. She's like, I have nothing to smile for. Like, I'll show you my teeth. Like, fuck off, you
Yeah.
know?
If you want to see it, I'll growl if you want that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
be for real.
Mm. I'm glad we added that one in on the fly.
That got me fired up again.
Okay, if y'all have more icks, please send them in. Maybe we can do like community icks every once in a while, once we get like
Yes,
another batch
please.
because this is fun.
Yes, we love anything listener submitted, please. Like, we love to do it. We'd love to do it.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we're coming to the end. And as you guys know, we like to close out every episode by sharing the last drop of tea for the day. Stephanie, you want to share it today?
Yes, the last drop of tea today is just make the trip happen, y'all. Just make it happen. Okay, you've been chatting about it in the group chat, or you may have written it down on like a wish list or your notes on the phone. So take all of these tips that we talked about and just get to planning.
Obsessed. Love it. Awesome. We'll see you guys later.